8:17 a.m., Western Pacific International Airspace. The sky was deceptively calm. High above the Pacific, a lone US F-35 Lightning II cruised at altitude, its stealth profile blending into the background of radar noise and atmospheric clutter. The mission was routine by design: presence, awareness, deterrence. Nothing provocative, nothing aggressive, at least not on paper. 8:19 a.m., first anomaly. Inside the F-35 cockpit, the pilot's helmet display flickered. Not an alarm, not a warning, just something new, a faint sensor return, barely above background noise. The F-35's fusion engine began pulling data from multiple sources: radar, infrared, passive electronic detection. The result was unsettling. Possible low observable contacts. The pilot frowned. Stealth aircraft weren't supposed to appear suddenly. 8:21 a.m., confirmation. The contacts sharpened, fast, high, closing from the northwest. The F-35 pilot didn't need the system to tell him what they were. Chinese J-20 stealth fighters, 2 of them. 8:22 a.m., silent intercept begins. No radio calls, no warnings. The J-20s approached in silence, their formation tight and deliberate. This wasn't an identification pass, this was positioning. 8:23 a.m., command alerted. Back at U.S. Pacific Air Command, analysts leaned forward. We have dual J-20 contacts converging on a single F-35. The response was measured, but immediate. Maintain mission. Observe. Do not provoke. 08:24 a.m., visual contact. The first J-20 slid into view off the F-35's left side, its angular silhouette unmistakable in the morning sun. The second fighter positioned itself high and rearward, a classic pincer. The F-35 pilot adjusted slightly, just enough to maintain separation. 8:25 a.m., electronic pressure. Then the tone changed. Not an alarm, a soft, insistent warning. The F-35 systems detected emissions. Low power, focused. Chinese fire control radar. Not searching, tracking. 8:26 a.m., weapons lock detected. The helmet display flashed amber. Radar illumination detected. The pilot's breathing slowed. Weapons lock, that crossed a line. 8:27 a.m., rules of engagement shift. Inside command centers across the Pacific, weapons lock by a foreign fighter aircraft. No shots fired. Yet, this is escalation. 8:28 a.m., J-20s tighten the net. The lead J-20 edged closer, cutting across the F-35's nose with minimal separation. Wake turbulence rocked the aircraft. The second J-20 descended slightly, placing itself in a firing envelope. 08:29 a.m., NATO and Allied sensors react. Japanese and Allied radar systems picked up the engagement. Data streamed across networks. What had started as a single aircraft encounter was now being watched by half a dozen command authorities. 8:30 a.m., the F-35 holds course. The American pilot did not break away. Breaking away would invite pursuit. Instead, he held speed, held altitude, held discipline. 8:31 a.m., second lock, another tone, sharper this time. The second J-20 had locked on as well. 2 fire control radars, 1 aircraft. 8:32 a.m., scramble order issued. On a nearby Allied airbase, pilots sprinted. Engines roared, runways cleared. This was no longer a passive encounter. 8:33 a.m., Chinese command decision. Inside a PLA Air Force command center, officers watched intently. The J-20s had achieved dominance, but dominance came with risk. Maintain pressure. Do not fire. For now. 8:34 a.m., the sky tightens. 4 aircraft now occupied a shrinking pocket of airspace. 2 Chinese stealth fighters, 1 American stealth fighter, and Allied fighters racing toward the scene. No margin, no mistakes. (8:35 a.m.) Cliffhanger moment. The F-35 sensors detected something new. Missile bay doors, opening. Not fully, just enough. A message. The American pilot whispered to himself. This just escalated. The F-35's tactical display updated again. 2 new symbols appeared on the edge of the battle space. Fast, climbing, unmistakably friendly. US and Allied fighters. They were still minutes away, but their presence changed the geometry of the encounter immediately. The Chinese pilots saw it too. Stealth Stealth didn't mean invisibility, not at this range. 8:37 a.m. Chinese formation adjusts. The lead J-20 widened its turn slightly, creating space. The second J-20 climbed higher, shifting from a firing posture into a more observational position, not disengaging, but recalibrating. This was no longer a 2-on-1, it was becoming a standoff. 8:38 a.m. Command level pressure builds. Inside U.S. Indo-Pacific Command, the atmosphere was tight. Weapons locks had been confirmed. Missile bay movement observed. Multiple nations now monitoring the same incident. A senior officer spoke quietly. If a shot is fired here, it won't stay local. That understanding existed on both sides. 8:39 a.m. Radio contact attempted. For the first time, a transmission cut through the silence. A Chinese accented voice, calm but firm. U.S. aircraft, you are approaching sensitive airspace. Alter course immediately. The F-35 pilot responded without hesitation. Negative. Operating in international airspace. The exchange was short and final. 8:40 a.m. Electronic warfare flicker. Suddenly, the F-35's sensors registered a brief electronic pulse, not an attack, a probe. Chinese electronic warfare systems were testing boundaries, measuring response times, signal strength, pilot reaction. The F-35's automated systems countered instantly, adapting frequencies and shielding sensitive channels. The sky had become a silent electronic battlefield. 8:41 a.m. Allied fighters enter visual range. Two Allied fighters broke through the haze, their approach deliberate and unmistakable. They didn't charge in, they slid into position, one high, one low. A protective screen. The message was unmistakable. The F-35 was no longer isolated. 8:42 a.m. Weapons locks fade. Inside the F-35 cockpit, the warning tones softened, then stopped. Chinese fire control radar disengaged. Missile bays closed. Not retreat, but restraint. 8:43 a.m. Chinese command reassessment. In a PLA Air Force operations room, officers exchanged brief glances. The objective had been achieved. Presence asserted, response measured. Escalation tested. Pushing further now carried risk. Political, military, and strategic. Order aircraft to disengage gradually. 8:44 a.m. Controlled withdrawal. The lead J-20 banked smoothly to the west. The second followed moments later, maintaining visual contact just long enough to ensure the message was understood. Then distance grew. Stealth signatures faded. The sky began to open again. 8:46 a.m. NATO and U.S. aircraft hold position. The F-35 remained steady, escorted on both sides. No pursuit, no celebration, only professionalism. This wasn't about winning the sky, it was about not losing control of it. 8:50 a.m. Incident concludes. Radar screens confirmed it. Chinese aircraft had exited the area. Allied fighters remained on station until the patrol mission was complete. No shots fired, no missiles launched, but nothing about the encounter was routine. Aftermath. Hours later, behind closed doors, data was reviewed frame by frame. Radar emissions, flight paths, electronic signatures. Diplomatic channels lit up quietly. No public accusations, no dramatic statements, just carefully worded concern, because both sides understood what had nearly happened. Final analysis. A weapons lock is not a mistake. It is a deliberate signal, and in this encounter, both sides sent messages, then listened carefully to the response. Modern air combat isn't defined by dogfights anymore. It's defined by restraint under pressure. On this day, over the Pacific, restraint held, but just barely.